Right, okay, fan reaction time then. Burnley 0, Sunderland 0. My God, that does not even come close to begin to tell the story of that football match. I gave James Trafford a lot of stick, stood in this kitchen last season, so much to the point where, you all know that he actually blocked me on Instagram, and I don't ever think I said anything that worthy of being blocked with her. All I ever said was, I don't think he's up to the Premier League yet, but he will be class when he's older. And my God, I've praised him so much this season, and Jesus Christ, he has proper come-up trumps now. 2 penalty saves, 2 massive saves. We could look back on this game, say if we go up by 2 points and finish above Sunderland by 2 points, we will look back on this game and be like, that's the game that did it. That is the moment that secured us promotion. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I've just been editing Andrew's fan reaction and Nathan's fan reaction. I actually agree with Andrew slightly where he says that I don't think, other than the penalties, I thought Trafford was, with his distribution and stuff, a little bit slow. Now, I know it's a tactic. I do know it's a tactic to obviously to invite teams onto us, but Sunderland, in my opinion, are the best pressing team in the Championship. How good were they up at the Stadium of Light when they did that to us earlier in the season? That's why they beat us, because they won the midfield battle in that game and they pressed us to death and we couldn't handle it. And I think the exact same thing happened tonight. I thought Sunderland were the better side in the middle. I thought they won the midfield battle for the large majority of the game, not all of it, but for most of it. And they pressed us very well. And there were just some moments where we'll pass it around at the back and they were giving it... It weren't just Trafford, by the way. They were giving it Trafford, then giving it Cullen, blah, blah, blah. You know what they do. I'm thinking, now's the time not to do this against this team. And Matt Scrafton tweeted at one point saying, I feel sorry for Trafford because obviously the tactic is to delay and invite the press and then play it around at the back to obviously break the lines and all that. But there's a lot of anxiety around the stadium, so the fans aren't really letting him do it. There wasn't anxiety at first when it came to them doing that. The anxiety came when we had 2 or 3 occasions where we took too long and played ourselves into danger. That's why we were anxious. So that's why I was anxious anyway, because I was one of them. I was shouting, just boot it long this time, just boot it long. And I feel like I'm quite patient with that side of the game. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, does it, at the end of the day? Them 2 brilliant penalty saves. And I tell you what, he proper got into Isidor's head, didn't he? Fantastic. I mean, the Sunderland fans are mourning on Twitter, and I get they're passionate. We're all passionate. I get they're probably up in the northeast are probably some of the most passionate in the country, if not the most passionate in the country. But come on, you'd want your keeper to do the exact same thing. So you can't be sitting there mourning and saying, oh, it's a disgrace, he should have been sent off. The fact that some Sunderland fans have called him a cheat, I find absolutely hilarious. When you look at the way they got that first penalty, their player, it's a foul, he goes across Egan Riley, and obviously his heels clip Egan Riley's legs. It's a foul. I'm not saying it's not a foul. If anything, I don't think we could have complained if he'd have given a free kick and sent Egan Riley off. I probably don't think we could have complained about that. But the fact that he's given that as a penalty, I'm not going to moan about the ref too much in this. It's going to be difficult because I've moaned about him a lot in the 60-second review. I used 55 seconds of it calling him a cheat, and then I had to quickly do a 5-second summary. Check it out, it's on the channel. But the fact that they can sit there and call one of our players a cheat for being smart, when the way that they got that first penalty, absolutely, it's the audacity of them fans to do that. They'll probably wake up in the morning and they'll think they'll be a bit calmer and realise that they've sent some suspect tweets out. But yeah, that first one, he couldn't wait to give it that ref, could he? He could not wait. He were giving them the majority. I mean, to be fair, it were bad for both teams, because I remember there was a chance that we had in the first half. In the second half, I can't remember what it was. I think it was that Zian Fleming one where he dragged it wide. There was a foul on them in the build-up to that. We fouled them in the build-up to that, and I was saying to the guy next to me, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that were a foul. And then there were one point where he kind of stepped, one of their players, it was coming to Brownhill, and he kind of just stepped in front of him. Smart play. Referee gave a free kick to us. What I'm saying is that referee, after saying I'm not going to whinge about him, I'm whinging about him, it was awful. It was awful for both teams, but Jesus Christ, that first penalty is a disgrace. Now, can I shock you? I think the second one's a penalty. I do. I think it's soft, but I think in the modern game it's a penalty. I've been whinging about it on Twitter because I've just gone off what people are saying, and obviously I've got Chris and Andrew and Liam and everybody in the Turfcast WhatsApp group. I think all of them said, I think, off the top of my head, apologies. They'll all be on the full-time show. Well, Liam might not be, but Andrew and Chris will be. I think they were saying that they think that's not a penalty either. My main criticism of that is going to go towards Oliver Son. Now, I'm not going to criticise him too much because obviously it's his first game for us in the league, home debut, probably nervous, but why is he going to ground there? There's no need at all for him to go to ground there. I think the Sunderland player buys it a little, he sees Son go to ground, but don't give that player that decision to make and think, well, I can get a penalty here, and don't give the referee another decision to make when we've seen how shite he's been. I thought that was a strange sub. Now, obviously, I was at the game, I was sitting in the Jimmy Macupper, I couldn't really, maybe Roberts were blowing out of his arse and I've missed it, but I thought that were a strange sub. I'm like, why is he bringing Son on here now? Like, don't get me wrong, from what I saw of Son against Reading, I think he's going to be a good player for us. I like the buy, I think it's a good buy, but I just thought it was a strange sub, and I think he's gone to ground too easily there. Stay on your feet. Hopefully that's an early lesson for him and he's been let off the hook a little bit there with that one, but just stay on your feet. I actually think that one is a penalty. I think it's soft, but I think it's one of them penalties in the modern game where you look at it and you think, yeah, not a penalty 20 years ago because you just look at the guy buying it. But in the modern world, I think that's a penalty, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I think Son's got away with one there. Just stay on your feet, mate. Just stay on your feet. But yeah, a weird substitution from Parker, that one. I'm not sure why he took Roberts off. I don't think Roberts goes to ground. I don't think Roberts concedes a penalty there. Roberts is the better fullback at the minute. Son might go on to have a great career. Obviously, he's younger and stuff. But yeah, weird one for me, and I don't particularly understand why he was brought on. But going on to the game, I thought first off, we were probably the better side for 15-20 minutes. Then I feel like Sunderland stepped onto us. As I've said, they are a brilliant pressing side, and I think when they stepped onto us, that's when the anxiety started creeping in because they started pressing us very well. Then we started making mistakes. That led to giving the ball away, and then Sunderland would get on top without really creating anything, to be fair. Thought we had the better chances in the first half. Obviously, Roberts had one early on, then Anthony had one. Not sure if I've missed one off the top of my head, but I feel like we had the better of the first half in terms of chances. But after that 15-20 minutes, I thought Sunderland were the better side. I love Sunderland's midfield. It's so good. They've got some very, very good technically gifted players in there. I thought Lefebvre were a little bit quiet, but that's the first time where I've watched Bellingham, obviously Joe Bellingham, and I've been like properly impressed with him. I mean live, by the way. He's so good. Like I thought their midfield were fantastic. I thought their midfield won that midfield battle today. Having said that, I thought Cullen played well, but I thought Browner were pretty anonymous today. Loren made a couple of silly fouls, but yeah, very impressed with Sunderland's midfield. And I think that's why they were probably the better side in the second half. Again, we had chances though. Like people have been complaining, saying, "Oh, we're not scoring enough goals," and we're not. Of course, we're not. But I don't think tonight's the night to properly mourn about that because people are saying, "When's Parker going to change it up so we attack a bit better?" We actually, in parts, attacked quite well today. I just feel like there was parts of the game where we did get on top and we did try and play our own game and impose it on Sunderland, but we just didn't do it enough. But in them moments, I felt like we played well and we attacked well. Obviously, Fleming's had them two chances. He's dragged one wide, and there's that one where he goes down and shouts for a penalty while he's waiting for it to land at his feet. Just nod it in, mate. Like we've created chances. I've already mentioned the Roberts one in the first half, the Anthony one in the first half. We did have some chances. I thought Lyle were poor. But again, it did look good on the left wing, well, left wide forward, against Reading. It's Reading, and it's a difficult game for him to try a new position or a newish position. But again, when he went up front, I thought he was ineffective. Having said that, I thought Fleming were quite ineffective when he were there as well. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. It were a good game. I know it were 0-0, and I think I said at half time, "Oh, it's a good game this," and people were saying, "Oh, yeah, I know it was 0-0, barely any chances." It were a good tactical battle. I think the first 15-20 minutes, like I said, we were on top. Then Sunderland changed it up a bit. I thought Labrie obviously noticed that. He made some changes, probably told their lads to step onto us a bit and press us a bit more. And then they got on top. And then there were just little pockets of Burnley play. But I thought Sunderland probably shaded it in the second half. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I actually don't mind Sunderland. I quite like them, if I'm going to be honest with you. I lived up there for a year. So hopefully it's Burnley and Sunderland that are promoted at the end of the season. Got nothing against Leeds or Sheffield United, if I'm being honest with you. But I think it'd be good to see Burnley and Leeds go up. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. The referee is a disgrace. It needs investigating. The Sunderland tears about James Trafford time wasting are pretty funny and are pretty delicious. But yeah, enjoyed the game. Thought it were two decent sides. Sunderland probably shaded it, especially in that second half. But I'll take the point. I've been speaking to a Sunderland fan who says he thinks it's a better point for them than it is for us. Obviously, he's basing that on the fact that they're away from home. I'd argue that it's probably a better point for us at the minute because it keeps Sunderland below us. Obviously, if they'd have won tonight, which they should have done with them 2 penalties, let's be fair, they obviously go above us, but it keeps them below us for now. Hopefully Sheffield United and Leeds don't both win tomorrow, but yeah, we'll see. Up the Clarets.